the Alfa Romeo GTV. So I own a 2-liter twin spark version from the year 2000. This car is of course petrol, 4-cylinder. It's traction, it's not propulsion, so it has quite a lot of grip even when the road are snowy or wet. It's not dangerous to drive, and it can be driven by really anyone. It has 155 horsepower. The consumption is quite reasonable for a car of this generation because it's an atmospheric engine, naturally aspirated. There is no turbo, it's not turbocharged. So here is the car from the side. This car was designed by Pininfarina, so it has very interesting design. Pininfarina, of course, you know, is the designer of some Ferraris and many cars of the early 2000s. And of course, as it's Pininfarina's design car, this Alfa Romeo GTV is wearing proudly, but discreetly also, its Pininfarina badge, just here. On the other side, it's a bit fading because with the time it tends to disappear. So this model was designed by Pininfarina but made in Arese, near Milano. So it's the historic factory of Alfa Romeo, and this is actually the last model of car that was built by Alfa Romeo at Arese. Some other Alfa Romeo GTV of the 3rd generation are wearing this Pininfarina badge with a F next to it, which means fabbricata, which means that they were made by Pininfarina in Torino and not in Arese. So this is the last model that was built in Arese factory before the historic factory of Alfa Romeo became a museum, and it's still a museum now. So yeah, I really enjoy the design of this car. It has something very special with this line that starts here and that makes the round. You see it's going here above the wheel and then up. You see it's not straight, of course, it's going up and then around the back of the car, just under the rear window, and then down again and back to the front. That really circles the car and gives it a very special personality. It's almost like a small Ferrari in its design and its personality. I really enjoy it. And very often people, when I'm parking my car on some parkings, people come to me and ask me what car it is, and or they know what car it is, of course, and they come just to say that they love this car, and it's nice to see that they are still driving, and they of course have a lot of questions about it. So I'm very glad every time to answer questions when someone comes to talk about this car. And of course, when you drive this car, you get to see a lot of people turning their heads to this car, because it's not every day that you see it. It's not like an Audi TT or a BMW Z4 or Z3. So it's very pleasant feeling when you drive it. You feel like you have been upgraded in a Ferrari or something like this when you get this kind of reactions. I really like the lights here, the headlights here, because they are in fact in one block, but the design of the front of the car is making it looks like it's two different lights. In fact, it's one piece, separated by metal. And when you open the engine compartment, you can see it. I will show you later. And here is the beautiful, magnificent Alfa Romeo logo in its old style, the most beautiful according to me. So yeah, you can see the line also here, very interesting, like a V starting from the V of the logo. That's beautiful, and it's going around here and it meets the mirror here, you see. Very interesting piece of design. It's beautiful. At least it's my taste. I love it. Many people also, I know that this car is not appreciated by everyone because it has a very particular design, but I think that with the time it's getting more and more appreciated by car enthusiasts. The only problem it has is that it's a traction, not a propulsion, so it has power in front, and so it's not taking off in collection. Yeah, that's too bad because it's a naturally aspirated four-cylinder engine with quite a lot of torque and a very bright personality. I like the rear lights. It looks like, in fact, this car was designed in the 80s because you get this rear light that takes all the back of the car. It reminds like I don't know, like some cars from the 80s or early 90s, some Japanese, some Italian sports car, and yeah, it gives it also a very interesting personality. But in fact, this car is from 1995, and mine is from 2000, from the year 2000. So yeah, it looks like kind of retro young timer. So now let's enter inside. I will show you how it is from the cockpit. So you have two Momo design seats. You can see it's written here. They are made of leather. They are wearing proudly the Alfa Romeo badge. Beautiful Alfa Romeo badge. Here it's also made of leather. And the interior is magnificent. We are on the second phase of the Alfa Romeo GTV. It's not the first generation, it's the second. And you can see that on this generation and the third one, this part is specific, and I really like it. It's wearing the Alfa Romeo name. The counters are orientated towards the driver. You see it from the perspective of the passenger. It's not the same, so it gives it a very sporty look and feeling. Here you can turn and orientate the air vents as you wish. Air conditioning, of course. The radio here is not from factory, because the radio from factory was quite bad, so a lot of owners decided to change it. So mine, I didn't get new, so it was already changed by the previous owner. There is a 3 legs steering wheel, really beautiful, with the beautiful Alfa Romeo logo, the city of Milan, and the snake eating a baby. These are symbols of the city of Milan. That's beautiful, and it has a lot of history. It's very interesting to analyze this logo. It's one of the most complicated and at the same time most interesting logos in the automobile world. Here you have the gauge cluster with 260 kilometers per hour graduation and up to 8,000 RPM. So yeah. And in the back you have 2 seats. It's a GT, it's not a sports car, so you have 2 seats in the back. They are suitable for babies or for luggage, because for adults, as you can see here, it's very short in terms of leg room. So yeah, but it can help if you have someone to drive quickly, not more than 2 kilometers or 10 kilometers away. It can save you from doing 2 trips. So you can take someone in the back, maybe 2 persons if you are really cruel with the person you want to carry in the back. But yeah, it's always useful, but mostly it's useful for baggage, I would say. It's because the trunk is a down point on this car, but you don't buy a GTV for its trunk. So let me show you. So here you have the GTV logo with this interesting font, quite unusual, and the 2-liter twin spark. From the back you can also see the chrome exhaust pipe, just one on the left. Beautiful point of view on the rear of the GTV. Here you can really see the line that I told you about. I really like also the wheels. You can call them telephone wheels because it looks like a telephone dial, an old school one. Very interesting design, and to me, I think this design will never get old. It will be a collector soon. Now people don't recognize it yet, but I think in 10-20 years those cars will start to be really, to start to interest a lot of people who have collections. So now let me show you the boot as I promised you. So you pushed the logo on the left, you insert your key. You can't do it otherwise, it's only with the key. Turn it, open it, and then you discover that you have a quite small boot. You can put originally, oh yeah, also mine is not standing because the car is quite old, but originally here you have a fifth wheel, an emergency wheel, a full-size one. So it took a lot of space, and all the rest of the boot was dedicated to, so most of the boot was dedicated to this wheel, and there was just a very small part where you could store some things. But in this one, the previous owner removed it, so I have a big, not a big one, but a bigger boot than it's supposed to be. And yeah, something interesting is that you have a CD charger from Lancia, because it's a Fiat Alfa Romeo Lancia group. And here you have some interesting storage. Even if the boot is small, you can store some oils, some cables, and same on the other side. And here you have the battery compartment. So yeah, so quite a small boot, but it's enough for 2 cabin luggage. And anyway, it's not what you ask for when you buy an Alfa Romeo. You don't buy it for the boot and for long trips with kids and luggage, but you buy it for the pleasure of driving, and yeah, and you can go on a weekend anyway with your loved one, with luggages and stuffs in the back and in the trunk. It's not a problem. I did it many times, going even skiing. So yeah, a beautiful car from the late 90s, early 2000, that I own and that I really love. And I really like the color also. It's changing according to the weather, and it has different visual effects. So now let's have a look at the engine compartments. So I already opened it from the inside. It's already up. So I just have to put my hand here, catch the lever, and it's going up. Standing by itself. You don't need to pull a metallic stick to have it standing. So it's very interesting. And as I told you before, and as you can see now, the optical elements are in fact just 2 normal optical elements. It looks like from outside that it's separated and it's 2 different, but in fact it's 1. That's the genius of the design that they made, is to make it look much more expensive and exotic than it is, because in fact it's 1 block on each side. But that's very interesting. And I also like that all this part, so all the front end of the car, is going up when you open the engine compartments, and only this lower part stay the same. It's quite a big, it's quite a huge entrance that you open to look at your beautiful twin-spark 2-liter engine. And Alfa Romeo really knows how to make you feel the, what they call the cuore sportivo, the sport heart of the car, which is the engine, because they know how to decorate it. They know that they are talking to petrol heads, to car enthusiasts, and by decorating the engine compartments this way, you really feel like you have something special in your hands. It's not just a car, it's not just like an, I don't know, a Fiat, but it's something special. It's Alfa Romeo. It has this beautiful font of Alfa Romeo. It's in red, the color of sport, of course. It has this beautiful logo of Alfa Romeo on the engine oil, and something I really like, it has the quadrifoglio, the symbol of the sport of Alfa Romeo sports line here. And if you don't know, you never see it, but if you open the engine compartment, it's like an Easter egg waiting for you. So as I told you, it's a 2-liter naturally aspirated petrol engine, and as you can see, the engine bay looks very wide and empty here, because in fact the GTV 916, so this model, had a bigger engine, and not just any one, but it was the V6 Busso, the 3-liter naturally aspirated also V6 with the... It looks beautiful. You should check on the internet. It has some beautiful chrome air entrance on the top. It's really something that looks amazing. And even if this engine is the smallest of the line, Alfa Romeo, as I told you, they knew that they are talking to petrol heads, and they have quite a big fan base of people who love auto sport and automobile, and so they didn't let this engine just look random, but they made it in a beautiful decoration with this Alfa Romeo font and the red letters, and of course this quadrifoglio here. So it has a very special personality even under the engine, even if you look at the engine. So it's something special. I really like it. And look, now the lights will again look like they are two different on each side. That's the genius of this design. I love it.